Well, hello and welcome to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. This week, we're broadcasting from Fire Station Headquarters number 1 on Lynch Street, the brand new headquarters station here in the heart of the River District. Joining me this week is the Chief of the Danville Fire Department, David Eagle. Chief Eagle, I appreciate you taking the time to join us today.
Thank you, Mark. It's a pleasure being with you.
Yeah, and we've got some great news we want to share with our viewers here on River City TV this week. The Fire Department, for the first time in its over 130-year existence, has been fully accredited internationally. And I know, Chief Eagle, this is something very, very special for the Danville Fire Department. It's something that's going to help your organization for many years to come. And on today's show, I want to dive a little deeper and talk about this accreditation process, because tell me about how long has your organization been going through this process?
Sure. This was a voluntary process, kind of an introspective look of everything that we do, all our policies, our programs, how we respond on emergencies. It really took a real comprehensive look at everything we do as a department and provided a platform that will allow us to evaluate those things, to make improvements to those things, and to constantly measure where we are. Are we meeting the benchmark? And how can we become better as an agency? So we've been working on this process for nearly 3 years now.
Wow.
And it's an ongoing process. This is not an award. It's an award, and it's something that we as a department are extremely proud of, but it's not something you get and you put the plaque on the wall or the sticker on the side of the truck. This is a process and kind of a change in culture of how we operate as a fire department.
Now, was this something you looked towards when you became chief? Because you've been chief with the department now, how many years?
8 years.
8, wow, gosh, time flies,
time
doesn't it?
flies.
And so was this something you thought would be a great goal to achieve when you first took over the helm of the Danville Fire Department?
Yes, it is. We've always considered ourselves a great fire department. You can ask our citizens, and they rank us very high. They're always complimentary of us. Our elected officials have always been very supportive of us, and we've always claimed to be, a great fire department. But what this does is it validates that. It shows with real concrete data that we truly meet the benchmarks and the best practices for the industry, and it allows us to validate who we are as a department, and now we can truly say, yes, we are one of the best around. It was a goal of mine when I first became chief, but as you know, as the economy kind of has been sluggish and going through a recovery, those days of a blanket checkbook of let's get the fire department whatever they want because they're great guys, they work hard, they're courageous, and they're here to serve. Now we were having to justify every line item on our budget. We were having to justify all our programs, all our positions, how many people we had. We were having to justify where our stations are located. We were having to think more strategically. With new city manager coming in, we were asked to kind of do a strategic plan and do a lot of the things that accreditation was already doing. So if we were going to be doing these things, why not go with the industry best practice and the accrediting agency for fire departments internationally and see how we stack up?
So it sounds like the groundwork and the framework had already been laid, and you all thought, we need to go ahead and try to get this going, and we succeeded. And I want to let the viewers know that we're one of 6 in Virginia that have been accredited, and only 208 worldwide that have been accredited by this organization. So very high honors for the Danville Fire Department. And David, as we look a little more into the accreditation process, take me back to how it all started 3 years ago and walk me through that process a little bit.
Well, the first thing, we were working on our strategic plan. So with the strategic plan, it's kind of a roadmap to where we wanted to see our department in the future. That is a critical piece to the fire accreditation model that's put out by the Center for Public Safety Excellence, who is the umbrella organization that oversees this process. We were getting input from stakeholders, from all ranks of the department, as well as governmental officials, citizens. We were gathering input and kind of working through our strategic plan model so that we knew exactly what things we wanted to work on, and it helped us as a department know exactly where we were going, but it also allowed us to lay the financial part of that so that we knew how much money we would need for this program, this process, this brand new station we're in, and so forth. So we worked through that piece, and we said, well, the accreditation model is already out there. Let's take a closer look at that. We knew this was a goal that we'd like to someday pursue, but as long as we're already starting on this, let's see where we needed to go. So the next step was what they call the self-assessment of your department. And it has over 300 indicators that you had to look through. Everything from the health and wellness of your firefighters, the training and operational processes of your fire department, your record keeping, your policies, procedures, documentation of all of that. Pretty much anything you can imagine, they had an indicator that we had to work through, and not only put it in writing how we do those things, which provided a great continuity of operations. So when we have turnover in the department, we've got everything laid out of how we do everything from check a truck to buy turnout gear to how we train on firefighting operations to how we train on EMS and medical operations.
And that seems like that would really come in handy just in the last couple of months, because some of our viewers may be familiar. We've lost a lot of individuals to retirement, many years of service.
Sure. Just
in the last couple of months. So I think that would probably come in handy.
It does. On the suppression side, it allows us to model our response protocols. Another thing we had to do was do a standards of cover for the whole city, identifying areas of risk, identifying areas of concern, making sure we had the proper apparatus located in the proper stations, the right number of people in those stations, things like looking at the river and what kind of new hazards that could bring, to looking at the river district and bringing in new apartments in these warehouses, and looking at how we were going to accommodate providing the best level of care and service that we could to all the people moving into the downtown, to everything. So not only that, it forced us to create indicators of how well are we doing, how quick are we processing the calls in the 911 center, how quick are we turning out to go to the call, how far is our travel time, and then how long does it take to get an effective response force on the scene to take care of that emergency. And those are things we really didn't look at before. We looked at an average response time.
Right.
Now we're looking at what do we do 90% of the time. You know, average is great, but if you can do it 90% of the time, it becomes a pattern. It becomes how we respond, and it gives us that benchmark to try to reach every time, and it also gives us areas where we can look at to find gaps in our service or areas that may need to be improved.
So as you looked at all of that, were there maybe 2 or 3 things that stood out that this department was doing very well? As you look through those numbers and all those statistics, all the different divisions, as you compile a lot of that data, was there anything that stood out in your mind that, wow, the Danville Fire Department is really excelling in that?
Well, overall, we were very good on all the indicators.
Great.
One of the areas we were most lacking was just in our documentation of that.
Okay.
There's standards that a truck needs to be purchased to meet a certain standard. Turnout gear needs to meet a certain standard. We test the pump on the fire truck. We test the hose to a certain level. We test our breathing apparatus. And we were doing all those things, and we had records, but they weren't clear and easy to follow. Now all that is in place. We've got a great format reference point. We can show and demonstrate that we are meeting the industry best practice. We're meeting the OSHA standards, the NFPA standards, and it allows you to identify areas where you may be weak and work towards improvement in those areas. So like I said, it's not something you get, you achieve, you rest on your laurels, you put your plaque on the wall. This is a change in framework to provide transparency, which is a big word in government these days, and also to provide a platform of how we operate as a department. So that's one thing that we were able to get everything documented. We identified some policies and procedures that were lacking in some of the language and some areas which created some confusion on just some basic policy things.
Yeah.
So we're working towards cleaning those up and getting that where it needs to be, and measuring things a little bit differently, looking at the 90 percentile rather than an average.
Right.
Let's make this a pattern. Let's strive to get there. When we say we're going to get everybody on the scene in 7 minutes or 10 minutes to fix that emergency that they may be having, or to try to save a life or protect property or the environment. We want to be able to measure exactly how well we're reaching those goals.
Right.
And if we see weak areas, then we can address those and also justify funding and other things to go towards addressing those issues. So it's a policy of continuous quality improvement, and it's also a validation so that our community knows that we're good stewards of the resources that they give us.
Right.
They can rest assured that we have been scrutinized to the highest level, with a comprehensive look of exactly how we're spending taxpayers' money and exactly the value and the benefit that they're getting for those resources.
And you talk about this being an ongoing process, not just a plaque on the wall, because you're going to be reevaluated on an annual basis. You'll be looked at again.
Yes, your accreditation is good for 5 years.
Okay.
But we have to do a annual compliance report every year that demonstrates that we're continuing to use this model of self-improvement, and that we're never, I look at this as we're never completely there. We're always striving to do better, to be more efficient, to do things safer, and this is a platform of ongoing introspective look, of ongoing evaluation to make sure that we're always looking for ways to improve, to be as safe as we can be, to have the best equipment and the best, be as most prepared as we can to serve this community.
Chief, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back from break, I want to talk to you a little bit more about the process when the peer evaluators were on site, because they came here and spent some time, and those individuals from all over the country, firefighters that work with this organization, and spent some time with your gentlemen and ladies here within the Danville Fire Department evaluating you all. That was one part of the process, so we'll dive a little deeper into that when we come back from break. So stay tuned. We'll talk a little bit more about the Danville Fire Department's recent international accreditation when we come back from break. So stay tuned. We'll be right back.
The average text takes your eyes off the road for nearly 5 seconds.
Well, welcome back to this week's edition of the City Update. I'm your host, Mark Aaron, Multimedia Design Manager for the City of Danville. Joining me this week is the Chief of the Danville Fire Department, David Eagle, and we're down on Lynch Street at the brand new fire station headquarters in the heart of the River District, and celebrating the recent international accreditation of the Danville Fire Department. As we mentioned in the first half of the show, the Danville Fire Department is one of only 6 in the state of Virginia to receive this accreditation, and one of only 208 internationally. So high honor for the Danville Fire Department. And David, we touched on the first half of the show. This is something very special for the fire department, something our citizens should be very proud of. As you mentioned, we always knew you all did a great job, but this kind of puts the stamp on that and gives you those benchmarks and all the figures there to do a great job moving forward.
Right. Like I said, this kind of validates things.
Yeah.
It lets the citizen, it lets the elected official, It lets our city manager and our own people know that we are meeting the best practice. We're as efficient and effective as we can be. We're good stewards of the funds that we're trusted with. Yeah. And we're meeting the industry best practice and doing things as safe as we can. And trying to constantly look for ways to improve and do that job even better.
Well, as Chief Eagle said, this was a 3-year process, and in the first half of the show, we talked a little bit about the initial phases of that process. But David, we talked about how peer groups came to evaluate. Sure. After you gathered all that information, that was sent back to the accreditation agency, and then you had peer groups come and evaluate. Sure. You all, right?
Yes, they the way the accreditation process works is they have peer assessors. Okay. Who are special trained in all the indicators that are looked upon, and they come from our peers of other departments all around the country. So what we did was we took all of our planning documents and we uploaded it to a shared link where everybody could review it. They reviewed that over a series of several months, reviewed everything that we were doing inside and out. And then they came here for 4 days. It was four peer assessors from Colorado, from North Carolina, from Kansas, and they came here and looked at everything we were doing, all our programs, all our processes, our policies, opened all the drawers, so to speak, in the closets, and I think we should embrace inspection. And if we know we're doing things the best we can, I feel like we should invite people to take a critical look. Right. And if it's something that they see that we're not doing right, or they can find that we could be doing a little bit better, we should embrace that and not be scared of that. So they came in to Danville and did a 4-day, 4 solid days of inspection and evaluation. They talked to all our division heads, they talked to firefighters, they went around to all 7 stations, talked to firefighters at each one. They talked to the city manager, they talked to our finance department, they talked to the purchasing department. They really did a very thorough, very nice people, but very serious, very professional, and very critical look at everything we're doing as a department. Right. And then they made a series of recommendations of things they felt like we could be doing better. So some of those we were able to fix right on the spot. Others we're working to achieve now. And then it didn't stop there. Based on what they see from their several month review to their 4-day in-depth inspection, they make a recommendation to the Commission on Fire Accreditation, which is a group of about 12 people that represent all segments, from the insurance company to the ICMA, which is the City Managers Association, to ISO, which is the insurance office, which we're an ISO of 2, right? Which is another great benefit for the citizens here to keep insurance rates low. Right. And they had all different segments. The International Association of Firefighters, which is a union group that represents firefighters. We had the International Fire Chiefs Association. Wow. So it was represented by all segments of the fire. There was EMS people on there. So all different groups represented. And we had to go present ourselves to the commission, and they could ask any further questions they wanted. And we had our team leader from the assessors that came. Okay. He was a guy from Kansas, right outside of Kansas City, who led the peer assessment team that came here. He presented us, and then we made statements, and then the commission was able to ask questions. They had about 20 different agencies that over the week that we went before the commission. There was about 20 agencies that went before. Some of those got deferred, some of them got denied, and some of them got accepted and approved. Sometimes the commission would just really tear into them and really ask some really tough, critical questions. But we had all our ducks in a row. We had done all our homework ahead of time, and they approved us unanimously with very little question at all.
That's great. And one thing that resonates throughout all of your comments is it took the entire department, really.
Absolutely.
Every individual worked hard for this accreditation. I know that makes you proud as a chief to have everybody on board.
Absolutely. We had input from all different ranks.
That's great.
Our dispatchers were involved. We're measuring how quick they can process calls. You know, when you put a measurement on somebody and say you need to meet this, it creates a little anxiety with those that are being measured. So some of them were a little nervous at first. When you're checking every record and making sure every T is crossed and every I is dotted, and you're making sure that everything's done consistently and standardized across the board, it creates a little anxiety, but our folks have rallied around this. They haven't always understood the ins and outs in every little piece, but I think they're seeing now. I think they should be very proud to know that we are doing everything we can to give them the best equipment, the best training. We're looking for ways to improve their health, their training, and we're meeting the best standards as far as our safety practices, so that they know that we've got their back. We're going to protect them and make sure that they have the tools they need so that we can serve this community the very best that we can.
Yeah, and that's the biggest thing, serving the community the best we can. And by having this data, being able to show that when it comes budget time, we're serving this many people, we're doing this many public service announcements through our training programs. We need this funding to continue this. All that data in place to show that is just going to benefit you all when you go before council during budget time, and allow you all to continue doing a great job here in the city.
Absolutely, and a lot of guys have said, you know, we're busier now than we've ever been, and we got to do a lot of busy work. But when you look at the big picture, people have asked me, is all the time worth it? And it absolutely is worth it. To be able to show beyond a shadow of a doubt that we're at the top of our game, and we're going to stay at the top and never become complacent with that. I think is something we should all be proud of, and I hope the community's proud of us too.
Absolutely.
We're working very hard to provide that top level of service.
And I know just working with the department for 10 years now, with Fire Watch and the monthly show we do with Shelby, being around you all, I know we've got the best firefighters in the country right here in Danville. And I hear the stories when they're on the fire scene and some of the heroic things they do. You know, just a couple of weeks ago, 2 guys going into an inferno to try to rescue 2 people, and it's just amazing, the story. So I've always known we've got A+ firefighters here in the city of Danville, so it's great to see the recognition, the accreditation, but also to have those figures and numbers to back it up now.
Well, and this is just a recognition. It's our people that make us who we are, and they are top notch, and it makes my job easy and proud to represent them. And I can't ask for better people. They're an amazing group of employees and firefighters and dispatchers, and we got the best of the best.
Absolutely.
And we got the paper to show it.
Absolutely. So. Well, very well said, Chief Eagle. And again, if you'd like more information about the fire department, I invite you to log onto our website, danvilleva.gov, and there's a link under public safety for the fire department, and you can learn a lot more about the accreditation process, but also about just the day-to-day operations of the Danville Fire Department. As we mentioned, 144 firefighters on staff and 7 stations here in the community. And of course, you can always follow us here on Fire Watch. Fire Marshal Shelby Irvin always does a great job keeping our viewers up to date. And I know you've got a graduation as of this taping coming up in just a couple of days. We'll be highlighting on our next edition of Fire Watch. So we're bringing in how many new firefighters?
5 new recruits.
5 new recruits.
They've been working extremely hard for the last 3 months now. And they're ready to get on that truck and start serving the community. So
that sounds good. Well, Chief Eagle, I really appreciate you taking the time to join us today. Again, congratulations on the international accreditation. As we mentioned, one of only 6 in the state of Virginia and one of only 208 internationally. So big pat on the back for the Danville Fire Department. That's great.
Thank you, Mark.
All right, and thank you at home for watching. Until next week, have a great day.